It is like the best medicine.
Because it fixes everything.
Welcome to the special edition of Doctor's Orders on Your Radio, YourWay.com. Thank you for joining us for this show. February 2010, this year is flying, and I'm excited to introduce a new partner on Your Radio, YourWay.com. Her name is Kelly Calabrese. She is the owner of Optimal Wellness Solutions in Colorado Springs, and she is a clinical nutritionist, and she's going to be contributing to our show, keeping us healthy and explaining to us why it is important that we take care of ourselves in not so much a traditional way. Kelly is one of the most educated people on nutrition I've ever met. She has a master's degree in sports medicine and exercise physiology. She also has a pre-med studies from University of Colorado. So Kelly, welcome to Doctor's Orders, and thank you for being a part of the team.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit more about you, some of your past history, how long you've been doing this, and we'll get into some philosophies.
Well, I started out my career in fitness, and I was a personal trainer for a couple of decades. Through my own health challenges, I had to figure out how to become healthy and well. And exercise is great, but exercise was not going to offer the optimal wellness that I've achieved now. And so through my desire of trying to figure out how to address my health disorders and health disorders that I had since childhood, I was able to figure out that clinical nutrition was able to bring me back completely. And so once I became healthy and well, I went back to school. And after 20 years of not being in school, my first class was a 5-credit hour chemistry class. And I went down the path and I did all the pre-med studies, did all the registered dietitian studies, and then did the postgraduate studies with my certifying board out of Texas. I've been doing the clinical nutrition for 5 years now. I have bridged both the clinical nutrition and the fitness together to create a comprehensive program for my patients and my clients.
Wow. We were talking before the show about how things have changed over the last 30, 40 years. Let's go back to 1950. Sitting down at the table, eating with the family, things were different then than they are now, aren't they?
They really are different. We are in such a fast-paced, fast food society now that people are not even paying attention to what they're putting in their bodies. Back in the 1950s, we had all pure food. We ate pure butter, none of this hydrogenated oils, margarine, and all these other chemical-laden foods, both in fats and in sugars. We were able to eat meat that was not processed. There weren't steroids or hormones or antibiotics in these meats. People were eating more natural, more healthy, and by doing that, disease was not prevalent. Now today we have genetically modified foods. Everything is being altered. Everything's chemical. The agricultural industry is raising the animals to be fatter with the steroids and the antibiotics, creating more of a disease state for individuals. And so we're just not healthy as a society because of what we're eating. It's not pure. It's not organic. A lot of these genetically modified foods do not have the nutrients that we once had. Our soils are not being tilled the way they used to be, so we don't have our minerals that we once had in our foods. And so this is a big contributor to why people have disease and why they're sick and why they're having the hormone imbalances and the blood sugar disorders and the fatigue and the weight problems and the emotional problems and the autoimmune problems.
And we're going to get into some of those problems here in a little bit. But from a metabolic component, I remember being told when I was in paramedic school about homeostasis, the ability for the body to maintain balance. And if we take your philosophies, which are fascinating, that is some of the fundamental values of which you preach, is hormonal balance for your body, getting that homeostasis, that balance back from a chemical point of view. We're really out of balance as a society, aren't we?
We are.
What is your approach when you get a patient in? What is your philosophies on the whole metabolic component of balance?
Well, first and foremost is a lot of people don't realize that they're sick. A lot of people live each day, and it's such a slow onset of disease that they don't even realize that they're sick, and they just keep adapting and adjusting to wherever they're at. And so they don't even realize that they're sick and that they're in need to have some guidance and some nutrient support. A lot of people that come to me actually have lost a lot of faith with the traditional system. They're just very, very sick. They're going on disability. They're getting a divorce. They can't get out of bed in the morning. They can't think. They're very fatigued. They have all this extra weight on them. So I really see a lot of people that are kind of at their wits' end. When they do end up coming to me, my approach is to look at a blood chemistry. I have designed my own blood chemistry through Quest Diagnostics, and I'm able to see in the blood chemistry different things than the traditional system will look at. So I'll take the same blood markers and I'll be able to apply the fundamental defects for disease. And some of the fundamental defects for disease is chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation is rampant throughout the whole body. This is where you find your hormone imbalance, your blood sugar disorders, your fatigue, your weight gain, depression, mood swings. This is all considered chronic inflammation. And then an acid body. When a body is not in an alkaline state and it's in an acid state, this is when the mineral from the bone will be leached out into the blood, causing more of an acid environment, which will then cause more of a disease state. And then there is anaerobic metabolism. And when someone's in anaerobic metabolism, it means they're not utilizing their oxygen. They're not utilizing their energy stores, their ATP energy of the mitochondria. And so in order to be well, you need to be in an oxygen state. And most people are operating in an anaerobic, a non-oxygen state. So looking at some of these fundamental defects, I'm able to see in the blood chemistry how we'll be able to change those markers, those blood physiology markers, so someone will improve their health from that standpoint. When someone comes to me, I don't look at the labels that they've been given, like fibromyalgia or cancer or whatever. I'll just look at the fundamental defects and go from there to help support the system in a nutrient fashion.
You're listening to Doctor's Orders on Your Radio, Your Way. I am with Kelly Calabrese from Optimal Wellness Solution here in Colorado Springs. She's our brand new nutrition specialist on Doctor's Orders. Kelly, I got to ask just kind of a stupid question. Laugh, if you will, because I'm learning myself. But how does someone know they're sick using your philosophies?
They don't. People don't know they're sick. It's like the frog in the slow cooker. You put a frog in a pot of water and the water's cold and the frog sits there and the frog's comfortable, and you turn up the stove a little bit at a time, and before you know it, the frog is cooked. Doesn't even realize he got cooked.
By taking that analogy, people out there who, and I could throw myself in this situation, I've been big, I've been obese for 20 years, I've done a billion different things to try to lose weight, some success, some failures, but I can remember back being bigger than I am now, over 400 pounds, being more active, able to do things. Now I'm 120 pounds less than I was then, and unable to do some of the things I was able to do 10, 15 years ago. That is what I kind of myself term as accepting sickness or accepting my illness and adjusting to my environment. Not necessarily a good thing.
The thing is, a lot of people don't realize is that when you're in a disease state, people don't realize they're in a disease state. So when you were younger and you had more energy, you were younger, so the body was more resilient because it was younger. As you get older, disease will happen at a more progressive fashion. So as you get older, you're going to end up having an acceleration of disease. So even if you are weighing less now than you were, disease is still there. Weight is a factor for disease, but there's so many other factors that are involved with disease that it's just not the weight issue. If people really addressed their hormone system, which is their endocrine system, they really addressed the endocrine system and really supported the adrenals and the thyroid and the pituitary and the pancreas and even the sex hormones, if they actually supported the entire endocrine system as one whole unit, then we wouldn't have a lot of the disease that we have. And then when you add in supporting the immune system and how the immune system functions and support it nutritionally from that standpoint, then you're going to have less disease. And then when you look at the neurological system and you support the neurological system, neurotransmitter support, and you support that on a nutrition fashion, by supporting the endocrine, the immune, and neurological systems as one unit, a person will not be in a disease state. So all of their complaints, all of their outward and inward complaints will not be there once you support those three systems.
How do we start? I mean, what are some of the things that you do? I mean, I know diet's a huge thing. I know supplements out there. I mean, one of my pet peeves is that we medicate society to death. I think we have got a drug for everything. And if you take the time to read the side effects of it, there's more risk in the side effects than there is the cure. How do you get to the point of balancing out that metabolism so it's back in its normal state?
Well, there's a difference between reactive care, which is our traditional system with the pharmaceuticals, and then proactive, preventive care. And that's what I do in my practice, is that I'm coming from a preventive standpoint. And I'm not looking at signs and symptoms specifically. I'm really looking at the causality of why that person is having those signs and symptoms. My blood chemistry, I'm able to see a lot of why people are having the disorders that they're having. I have a blood chemistry that really looks at and exposes a lot of chemical toxicities, heavy metals, petrochemicals, pesticides, organic solvents. I'm able to take that blood chemistry and look at those markers to say, okay, this is what's driving this disorder, or this is what's driving these signs and symptoms. And I'm able to go from that standpoint. And my blood chemistry is a 3-page blood chemistry. So it's a very, very comprehensive, very extensive blood chemistry. And I've been trained to look at the blood chemistry differently than most practitioners. And by looking at that blood chemistry, I'm able to give my patient a game plan, an action plan, a nutrient supplement plan, both with foods and with botanicals and homeopathic remedies to help them support their biophysiology so they'll become healthy and well and then stay healthy and well. In our society, we're all about let's get to a point of feeling good and then let's just stop. Or let's get to a point of trying to resolve this one issue and then we'll be fine. Basically, my whole philosophy and my whole approach on what I do is that let's get you healthy and well and stay there. You don't have to go back to being sick. So once you're healthy and well, you will continue to be healthy and well for all decades of your life.
And it makes total sense. I think we overanalyze things from a traditional medicine component. Being someone who's been in it for so long, we try to look at things instead of curing the problem or at least resolving the problem in some sort to its best of its ability. It's a symptomatic cure versus a cause cure. And I think that is one of the problems that we've continued, this snowball has continued to increase over the last 20 years. Oh, we have a problem for this. Well, let's take this pill. Let's do this therapy. And it fixes that particular symptom, but it doesn't fix the problem. What you're suggesting and what your philosophy is let's try to fix the problem from a metabolic standpoint. And again, a couple of questions, and they might seem kind of elementary. Does the amount of pesticides and heavy metals, how do we get that into our diet? Is it just in our environment? Is it in our food? How are we attracting this to our bodies?
We have it in everything. Our heavy metals are everywhere. They're in over-the-counter medications. They're in our vaccines. They're in our mouth. They're in our fish. They're in our water. They're in our food. So heavy metals, especially mercury, is everywhere. And then pesticides is everywhere. It's in all our foods, our plant foods and our animal foods. We have it in our water. We have it in our air.
It's a common problem.
We just are so totally exposed to all, and we have hundreds and hundreds of chemicals that we're exposed to every single day.
Not only just in our daily life, but what they put in our foods, the preservatives, the antibiotics, the steroids to get, if you look at a piece of meat at a grocery store and you were to compare it 20 years ago, it's like double the size because it's been injected with steroids and antibiotics and water to increase that. Get a nice piece of organic meat and look at the size, but look at the quality, and then you'll see what you're putting in your body.
That's correct. You have more nutrient-rich and more nutrient-dense foods when they are not being altered.
As we wrap this up, if there's someone out there who says, you know what, I am suffering, or they think they're suffering, or they've had some problems in the past, and they're like, you know what, I'm looking for a lifestyle change. What's the first step they want to do in this philosophy? When they sit down with you, how do they know exactly if they're a candidate for your process?
Everyone's a candidate for what I do, and they really have to take ownership and regard themselves and value themselves that this is a very important step in their lives. A lot of people, they'll get their house painted or they'll buy their big screen TV and they'll take care of their car more so than they'll do themselves. So a lot of people will start with eating better and exercising. But if they're already in a disease state, eating better and exercising isn't going to change their already disease dysfunction. So they really have to really think about the next step. Eating well and eating organic and exercising are definitely factors, but changing the blood physiology is the third step and the most important step in becoming optimally well, or even just becoming well. A lot of people want to get to a place of wellness, but they don't realize that they can achieve that place of wellness. But achieving that place of wellness is just not going to be something as simple as just going for a walk or choosing better foods.
Or taking a pill.
Yeah, or just taking a pill. They're going to have to sit down and really receive the education of how the body functions, why it's functioning that way, and really taking ownership of doing the processes that will achieve the wellness that they desire anyway.
Wow, we've learned so much. I look forward in the weeks and months to come to learn more about your philosophies and to learn more about nutrition from a metabolic standpoint. I think what you bring to the table is unique. It's cutting edge, and I think it can really, really help people. Kelly, thank you for coming in on Doctor's Orders. We look forward to hearing from you again next month. You're going to be a part of our roundtable. You're going to talk with the doctors and Dan, our physiology expert. So I look forward to hearing more from you. Welcome to Doctor's Orders.
Thank you.
If there's someone out there who needs more information about what you do, how you do it, how do they contact you?
My phone number is 719-590-9879, and my website is optimalwellnessllc.com.
That is 590-9879, area code 719 here in Colorado Springs, to learn more about Kelly's nutritional plan. Kelly, thank you so much for being in, and we look forward to hearing from you again very, very soon.
Thank you.
You're listening to Doctor's Orders on yourradioyourway.com. That's going to wrap up this edition of Doctor's Orders. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you next week.